All right, welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive.
Absolutely. Always ready to jump into something new.
This time, well, it's pretty out there. We're going to be exploring the story of Zheng Xianqin.
Ah, yes, the Chinese farmer.
Exactly. Claims he's had multiple encounters with extraterrestrials, even says he visited their planet.
Quite a story.
We're working with excerpts from an online discussion analyzing his claims, and gotta say, some of it, well, it's like something out of a movie.
It's definitely a wild ride. But I think what makes it interesting is, well, Zhang's story goes way beyond just, a simple UFO sighting.
Right, he describes these encounters happening over years, starting when he was just a kid, each one more intense than the last. And ultimately, they culminate in him spending, get this, a whole month, on this planet called Guoguessing.
It's a pretty elaborate narrative. And what's interesting is this recurring theme of healing. Almost all of his early encounters happened when he was sick.
Yeah, like these extraterrestrials were, I don't know, like intervening to help him or something.
Yeah. Right. And in one of his earliest encounters, he describes this like this humanoid figure,
Humanoid. Okay.
but made of sand, appearing before him when he was a boy. And then later on, when he's dealing with these really serious illnesses, he talks about walls glowing red, strange figures, and being placed in some kind of container.
It's so bizarre.
Each time, he wakes up and he's completely cured.
So otherworldly medical interventions.
Maybe. What really gets you are the details, though. Like, the methods they use to cure him are just so strange. For example, he describes them using a sack, like a burlap sack, filled with insects to cure an eye infection.
Insects. Who would even think of that?
It's those little details. They really make you stop and think, what's the purpose behind all of this?
Okay, so let's fast forward. 1985. Zhang is 19 years old at this point, and this is where things take a truly, unbelievable turn. Gets taken aboard a spaceship, gets whisked away to this planet, Guoguessing. What can you tell us about these aliens, these Guoguessing residents, and their tech?
All right, so picture this. They're about maybe a meter tall with these really large, striking eyes. And they've got these unique hairstyles, kind of hard to describe. Their skin, it's smooth. Zhang says it's almost like rubbery, but it has this like solid core underneath.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
And they have this faint blue glow about them, but the real kicker, communication. They do it through telepathy.
Telepathy, whoa.
Yeah, but they also have these like earpiece devices that they use to translate their thoughts into spoken language, just in
Wow,
case.
so they've got that covered too. What about their ship, the spaceship? What was that like?
He describes it as this cylindrical craft, about 20 meters in diameter, the journey to Guoguessing. Well, he says they use something called space conversion technology.
Space conversion. What does that even mean?
It's like, imagine the idea of wormholes, where they manipulate space itself, fold it to shorten these vast distances.
It's like folding reality, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
he's basically suggesting, that's how they get around.
Mind-blowing stuff. All right, so picture this. Zhang arrives on Guoguessing after this insane journey. Describe this planet. What's it like?
Okay, well, imagine this. The planet is bathed in this soft light because their sun is really distant. The climate's amazing, constantly around like 17 or 18 degrees Celsius. Their vegetation is this deep green, just lush everywhere. And their city, it's all kind of metallic, almost gray in color. And here's the thing. Everything is powered and controlled by something called, get ready for it, the Global Motion Network.
Okay, gotta admit, that name's kind of catchy, but what exactly is it?
It's like think of it like the central nervous system for their entire civilization.
Yeah.
A system so advanced that it provides, get this, unlimited clean energy, and it manages literally every aspect of their lives. And Zhang believes, based on what he was told, they use the same space folding technology to like capture incredible amounts of solar energy.
Like, are we talking like a Dyson sphere level energy capture?
Yeah, exactly. A Dyson sphere, but instead of a solid structure, they're manipulating space itself to do it.
That is just wow. So if this network manages everything, what does that include? Give me specifics.
All right, ready? It controls their gravity, their transportation systems. Think like instantaneous travel, levitation. It handles how they manage resources, their security systems, even, get this, how they experience virtual reality.
So they don't have to work then?
Nope. No work, no currency. They don't even have national borders anymore. Everyone has access to everything they need.
So it's like a utopia, no poverty, no war, no pollution, right?
Exactly. The network manages the entire planet's ecosystem, controls their sun's brightness to maintain a stable climate, prevents natural disasters. It's a perfect picture of sustainability and harmony.
Okay, but if they don't have to work, what do they do all day?
Well, imagine this. Zhang saw buildings that literally appear and disappear as needed.
Wait, what?
They're virtual. They can customize their living spaces on a whim. Food and drinks are 3D printed. And get this, they even have virtual humans, like characters in a video game who provide services and entertainment.
Virtual humans, that's wild. Did he get to interact with any of them?
He observed them, but the focus was really on the Guoguessing residents themselves and their unique way of life, like their approach to gender and reproduction. It's pretty fascinating. They have 3 genders:
3, okay, I'm listening.
male, female, and neutral.
Huh, interesting. What's the purpose of the neutral gender?
It's the one that can mate with either male or female. But here's the thing. They actually discourage physical procreation.
Really? Why?
They believe personal growth and exploration are more important than raising children, and they engage in something they call virtual sex for entertainment.
Virtual sex, that's a whole other conversation.
Zhang didn't go into too much detail, but he did say they contrasted it with, like, the serious implications of physical reproduction. They seem to, like, avoid that at all costs.
So no families, no kids on Guoguessing.
Sounds like it. They manage their population very carefully. But Guoguessing isn't the only planet they control. He got to visit a few others within their system. A deserted planet that's just for mining. Another one dedicated entirely to waste disposal. And this is interesting. They have a primitive planet. Mirrors Earth's environment. And it was during these visits that he learned about their views on the origins of life.
Okay, now we're talking. This is what I've been waiting for. Spill it. What did they tell him?
They believe life comes from, get this, lightning strikes.
Lightning strikes. Come on, really?
They believe lightning has the power to transform inorganic matter into organic molecules. Essentially, they believe lightning jumpstarts life itself.
Well, that's certainly a bold theory. Is there any scientific basis for that?
Actually, yeah. Zhang mentions this experiment from 1953 at the University of Chicago. They recreated early Earth conditions, like the primordial soup of gases, and then zapped it with electricity to simulate lightning. And guess what? They found amino acids.
No way. Seriously?
Amino acids, the building blocks of proteins, which are, essential for life as we know it.
Okay, that's pretty wild. So the idea isn't totally out there. But what did these Guoguessing aliens have to say about that?
Well, they see it as evidence that life could exist on other planets in our solar system. And they think, get this, that humans and the Guoguessing aliens might share a common ancestor. Way, way back.
Wow, a common ancestor. So we're like distant relatives. That's insane. And they also talked about this concept of, what was it, reverse evolution.
Right. They believe viruses are the most advanced example of that. Think about it. Most life on Earth has evolved to be more complex, right? But viruses, they've gone in the opposite direction, simpler and more efficient. And the Guoguessing aliens see that as incredibly advanced evolution. They actually think viruses are, like, incredibly intelligent beings.
Intelligent viruses. That's a new one.
Yeah.
Locked in some kind of battle with humans for survival.
That's what they believe. But the question is why? Why were they sharing all this with Zhang? What was their purpose?
Good question. I mean, did he ever get any answers?
It's a mystery. After a month on Guoguessing, he's just, poof, returned to Earth, no explanation.
Just like that. No goodbye, no see you later.
Nothing. He tried to tell people about his experience, but you can imagine, nobody took him seriously. It wasn't until later he read about Einstein's theory of relativity that he claims he had this epiphany about why the speed of light is constant.
Okay, now you've got my attention. An epiphany about the speed of light. This, I gotta hear.
Well, Zhang believes that light and space are basically one and the same, and that time, as we perceive it, doesn't really exist.
Whoa, hold on. Let's slow down. Time doesn't exist. How does that even work?
He says the Guoguessing aliens tried to explain it to him, but it only clicked after reading about relativity. It was like suddenly he understood. He realized that the speed of light appears constant to us because we're trapped within this framework of space and time. We can't see it any other way.
Okay, I think I'm getting it, but give me an analogy, something I can wrap my head around.
All right, think of it like watching a movie. The characters, they move at a certain speed, right? That's dictated by the film's frame rate. You, the viewer, you're banned by that frame rate. You can't speed up or slow down the action. You're stuck within that framework.
So we're like the movie viewers.
Yeah.
And The speed of light is the frame rate.
Exactly. Zhang is suggesting that our perception of reality is limited by how we experience time. We think of time as linear, flowing from the past to the present to the future. But what if that's just an illusion?
Hold up, if time isn't real, then how do you explain change? Things change. We age. The universe evolves, right?
He's not saying change doesn't happen. He's just saying that time, as this independent force, isn't what's driving it. It's more like we're experiencing these snapshots, a constant state of change that we perceive as linear time.
So we're trapped in this illusion of time. Is there any way to, like, break free and see things as they really are?
And that's where it gets really interesting. Remember that space conversion technology we talked about? How the Guoguessing aliens traveled so quickly?
Yeah, folding space, creating shortcuts. It's still mind-blowing.
Well, Zhang's epiphany about light and time connects to that. He's saying if light is space and time is an illusion, then manipulating space lets you, in a way, transcend time. It's like hopping between points in space without the limitations of linear time.
So instead of traveling through space at crazy speeds, they're jumping between points. Teleportation.
Exactly. And because they're bypassing time, the journey feels instantaneous, a shortcut through reality itself.
Mind blown. That changes everything. But it also brings up some big questions like cause and effect, free will. I mean, do those things even make sense if time isn't real?
It's a rabbit hole for sure. Zhang's story really challenges our basic understanding of reality.
It's incredible. Even if it's just, a story, it makes you realize how much we still don't know about the universe, about our place in it all.
It definitely makes you think.
So much to unpack here. We've covered alien technology, utopian societies, the origins of life, even the nature of reality itself. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's take a closer look at this global motion network. It sounds like a perfect solution to all of humanity's problems. But is it really that simple?
Excellent question. Is it a true utopia, or are there potential downsides to that level of control?
We'll have to dive into that next time. Join us as we explore the implications of Zheng Xianqin's incredible story. What could it mean for the future of humanity? All right, welcome back, everyone. We're diving back into the amazing story of Zheng Xianqin. Last time we were talking about this global motion network. Sounds pretty incredible, right? It solves all these problems we have here on Earth. But is it really a utopia, or are we just, seeing it through rose-colored glasses?
It's a compelling vision, that's for sure. Imagine, no worries about energy. Clean, renewable energy for everyone. Resources are managed perfectly, waste is minimized. Zhang even mentioned something about, elemental conversion.
It does sound like a perfect world. Almost too good to be true. But to even get close to something like that, we'd have to, completely change how we think, wouldn't we? I mean, we're so focused on competition here, on personal gain. Could we even achieve that level of global cooperation?
You're right, that's a key point. The way Zhang describes it, these Guoguessing aliens, they've evolved beyond things like borders or, wanting to accumulate wealth. They're all about the well-being of the collective and pursuing knowledge. Pretty different from how we operate.
And they don't even have to work. They're all free to follow their passions, explore the universe. It does sound tempting, I gotta admit.
It definitely makes you question our assumptions, doesn't it? Like, what is a society? But even if we could somehow overcome all our, our hangups, the technology, building something like the global motion network, it's mind-boggling.
Well, Zhang did mention that space folding technology. Could that be the answer?
Possibly. Imagine if we could actually manipulate space, it would revolutionize everything. Energy, travel. He described them harnessing their sun's power using something like a Dyson sphere, but instead of a structure, they manipulate space to do it. The energy potential there, it's incredible.
And the travel possibilities. Instant trips across the galaxy. But technology that powerful in the wrong hands, it could be dangerous, right?
That's a great point. And it brings us to another fascinating aspect of Zhang's story, the global motion network. It's not just about energy and resources. It's about preventing harm, ensuring peace and security.
Yeah, he said it protected them from, accidents, natural disasters, even attacks from animals.
Sounds pretty safe.
Think about it. A system that can anticipate and prevent threats. Crime would be almost impossible. And if everyone's needs are met, the motives for violence and theft, they just disappear. It makes you think about why we have so many problems here.
Yeah, it does. But, wouldn't that much control kind of stifle freedom? I'm not sure I'd want to give that up. It's a valid concern. Safety and freedom, finding that balance is tricky. But it's important to remember we're only hearing this through Zhang's eyes. his perspective, his interpretation, maybe influenced by his own beliefs and, his cultural background.
Right, we can't assume it's all perfect, but even if we take it with a grain of salt, it does make you question the path we're on here on Earth.
Are we happy with how things are going? Constant competition, conflict, or could we try something different? Use technology to build a better world?
Those are some big questions. No easy answers, that's for sure. But Zhang's story, even if it's just a story, it gives you hope, doesn't it? A different way of thinking about what might be possible.
Maybe it's not about replicating their network exactly, but about the principles behind it. Renewable energy, managing resources sustainably, focusing on resolving conflict. Could we do that?
It would require a huge shift in our thinking, a whole new approach.
Yeah.
But maybe that's what we need, a bold vision where technology helps us, not, controls us.
In the end, it comes down to the choices we make. Individuals, societies. What kind of world do we want to leave behind?
All this talk about technology and perfect societies, it reminds me of that primitive planet he visited, the one that mirrored Earth. If they are out there watching us, what do they think?
Yeah, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? And it goes back to what they believe about how life began, that whole lightning strike thing.
Right, and the idea that we might actually share a common ancestor with these beings. That's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it.
It raises some big questions about our place in the universe. Are we really that special? Or are we just a small part of something much bigger?
Makes you feel a little less significant, doesn't it?
Mm.
But also, I don't know, connected. Like we're all part of this grand cosmic family. But if they are so advanced, why haven't they, said hello? Why all the secrecy?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Are they just watching us, waiting, maybe even protecting us from ourselves? Or is there something else going on, something we don't understand?
It's tough to say. We need to be careful about jumping to conclusions. We only have Zhang's story to go on, and that's just one man's experience.
Right. We can't take it as, absolute truth. But even with some healthy skepticism, the idea that we might not be alone, it's exhilarating and a little bit scary, too.
It definitely makes you think about the future. What if we do make contact someday? What would that mean for humanity?
It's a question that's fascinated us for a long time.
Yeah.
And we might not have a real answer for a while yet, but maybe that's part of what makes it so interesting. The mystery, the unknown, it keeps us searching, keeps us wondering.
And stories like Zhang's, they really push us to think bigger, to question things, to imagine things beyond what we think we know.
Speaking of pushing our understanding, there's one more piece of Zhang's story that I think we need to talk about. It might be the hardest to wrap our heads around, but it's also the most thought-provoking.
You mean his epiphany about light and time? That light is space, time is an illusion thing.
That's the one. That part, it's abstract, but it might be the key to the whole thing.
Well, I guess it's time to dive into that rabbit hole then. Next time, we'll explore Zhang's understanding of the speed of light, what it could mean for how we understand space and time, and how it could change how we view reality itself.
Get ready, folks. Things are going to get pretty metaphysical.
All right, welcome back, everyone. It's time for the final part of our deep dive into the story of Zheng Xianqin. We've covered a lot of ground, haven't we? Advanced alien tech, utopian societies, even the idea that we might be related to extraterrestrials.
It's been quite a journey, but now we're getting to the most mind-bending part of it all, his understanding of light and time.
Yeah, this is where things get really, really weird. So remind me, what exactly triggered this epiphany for Zheng? Was it something the aliens told him directly, or did it come to him later?
It seems like it was a bit of both, actually. The aliens tried to explain it to him while he was on Guoguessing, but it didn't really click until he got back to Earth.
Okay, so he had this seed planted in his mind, but it needed something to make it grow.
Exactly. And that something was an article he read in a magazine about Einstein's theory of relativity. It was like a light bulb moment for him.
Wow, so he goes from a Chinese farmer to, reinterpreting Einstein. That's pretty incredible.
What's fascinating is that Zheng, with his limited formal education, developed his own unique understanding of relativity. He took Einstein's ideas about space and time and, well, he went in a very different direction.
A different direction. Okay, I'm all ears. Tell me more about his conclusions.
He believes that light and space are essentially the same thing, two sides of the same coin. And he goes even further, suggesting that time, as we experience it, doesn't actually exist.
Hold on. Time doesn't exist. That's a pretty big claim.
It is. He argues that we perceive the speed of light as constant because we're trapped within this framework of space and time. We can't see outside of it.
Okay, I'm trying to follow you, but it's a lot to take in. It's like saying we're looking at the universe through a specific lens, and we can't remove that lens to see things differently.
You got it. Think of it like this. Imagine you're watching a movie. The characters move at a certain speed, right? That's dictated by the film's frame rate. You, as the viewer, are bound by that frame rate.
So we're like the movie viewers, and the speed of light is the frame rate. We're stuck in that framework.
Exactly. It's a helpful analogy. Zhang suggests that our perception of reality is limited by our experience of time. We experience time as linear, flowing from past to present to future, but what if that's just an illusion? A construct of our consciousness?
Okay, but if time isn't real, then how do we explain, like, change? Things change, we age, the universe evolves. How can all that happen if time isn't actually flowing?
That's a great question. Zhang isn't denying that change happens. He's just saying that time, in the way we typically think about it, isn't what's driving it. It's more like we're experiencing a constant state of flux, a series of snapshots that we interpret as linear time.
So we're basically trapped in this illusion. Is there any way to break free, to see things as they truly are?
And that's where things get really mind-blowing. Remember that space conversion technology we talked about? How the Guoguessing aliens travel vast distances almost instantly?
Yeah, that whole concept of folding space, creating shortcuts, it's pretty wild.
Zhang believes that his insight about light and time explains how that technology is possible. If light and space are essentially the same thing, and time is an illusion, then manipulating space allows you to transcend the limitations of time.
So they're not traveling through space at incredible speeds, they're like jumping between points in space, like teleportation.
You got it. They're essentially bypassing time, so the journey seems instantaneous to them.
It's like taking a shortcut through reality itself. Incredible. But if that's possible, wouldn't that completely change our understanding of, well, everything? Cause and effects, free will? I mean, does any of that even make sense if time isn't a real thing?
That's the rabbit hole we go down when we start questioning the fundamental nature of reality. Zhang's story, regardless of whether it's completely true or a product of his imagination, forces us to confront those questions, to consider possibilities we might never have imagined otherwise.
It's both exhilarating and terrifying, isn't it? It makes you realize how little we actually know.
Absolutely. We have so much more to learn about the universe and about ourselves.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Zheng Xianqin's extraordinary story, what are the key takeaways? What's the message we should carry with us?
Well, I think one of the biggest takeaways is the importance of perspective. Zhang, a farmer with no formal scientific background, challenged conventional thinking on some of the biggest questions humanity has ever faced. She shows us that we all have the capacity to think outside the box, to question what we're told, and to arrive at our own understanding of the universe.
It's inspiring, in a way. It tells us to never stop questioning, never stop exploring, never stop wondering.
Exactly. Who knows, maybe somewhere out there, on a planet called Guoguessing, a civilization powered by the Global Motion Network is living proof that a different kind of future is possible. A future where humanity has transcended its limitations and achieved true harmony with the universe.
A future where maybe, just maybe, we've unlocked the secrets of space and time. It's a tantalizing thought, isn't it? And until we can fold space and travel to distant galaxies ourselves, we'll have to keep searching for those answers here on Earth. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey.
Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep looking up at the stars.